We will now reconvene the special city council meeting. Madam City Attorney, do we have anything to report?
Yes. Item number 1, involving initiation of litigation in one case. Councilmember Saab making a motion with Mayor Pro Tem Frometa making a second. The city council voted unanimously to initiate litigation. The defendants and other details of litigation shall be disclosed to the public upon inquiry once the litigation has been filed with the court. Item number 2, the city council did not authorize the initiation of litigation but gave its legal counsel direction. Item number 3 and 4, settlement was authorized by the city council subject to court approval. And items 5 through 7 will be handled by the city council following the city council meeting. So it would be appropriate this time to then recess your closed session so you can handle 5 through 7 after the meeting. And that ends the closed session report.
Thank you. The special city council meeting is now adjourned. Before I begin the regular city council meeting, I would like to inform members of the public that I will be taking public comment for non-agenda public comment and for items on the agenda via our teleconference line. Those wishing to address the city council may call 562-299-6622 when I make that announcement. Persons speaking are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your comments will be recorded and you'll be advised when your time has ended. Once your time has ended, the call will be immediately disconnected. For those who submitted their comments via email, your comments will be read into the record at the appropriate times during the meeting, and no additional public comment will be permitted via teleconference. I would like to call to order the regular city council meeting. City Clerk Duarte, will you please take roll?
Yes, Mayor. Before I take roll, I would like to inform members of the audience that Councilmember Ashton is participating in this meeting via teleconference. Councilmember Ashton?
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Here.
Councilmember Saab?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Frometa?
Present.
And Mayor Pacheco.
Present. I would now like to invite up Greg Welsh for the invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this convening of this group. We got servants in front of me. We got citizens behind me, Lord. We thank you for the blessings that you bestowed upon all of them and our city. We thank you for the work that's being done tonight and for all the comments that are made. We trust that you will guide our minds, our words, and our thoughts, Lord, to be pleasing to you in this public forum. Blessings to all of our servants, our police and fire, Lord, for the protection that they provide us every hour of every day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Would now like to invite up Executive Director Michael Calvert to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody's a critic.
Mr. Calvert, give us 1 second, please.
Oh, sorry. All right, I see we're all standing, so if I could ask you to put your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
Great job. Okay, I'm now going to go down for some presentations.
Let me have it.
So for this certificate of recognition, I'd like to invite up Pam Chambers.
We're here to offer or to present a certificate to my granddaughter, Jolene Greystone Ariza, for her service in the U.S. Navy. And I couldn't be more proud of my baby girl. Honey.
So when Pam told me about Jolene, I thought it only fitting for us to recognize her for serving our country and for everything that you will be doing. So in grateful appreciation for serving in the United States Navy in the name of freedom and democracy, and for courageously protecting our liberty and independence, I have here before me a certificate of recognition. From the City of Downey and the residents, we commend you and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm glad to be here today. It's the first time I've been home in over a year, so this is really special to me. I'd like to thank my family for supporting me. Today is my 5th year anniversary in the Navy. I'm off to my 2nd sea tour. So this means a lot to me. Thank you, everybody. Sorry? I'm Hawaii. I'm going to Hawaii. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have an update regarding COVID-19 by our Downey Emergency Manager, Racty Cloak.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, council members. Thank you for joining me here today and allowing me to present about our COVID-19 response update. I usually do these about every 2 months, and so we are here again. The last time I provided the presentation was back in late August, so I'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to start off with just a quick timeline of what's been going on. Back in August, we saw the city had issued an executive order to temporarily suspend fare collection for Downey Link and Downey Dial-A-Ride to help residents. We also had a food distribution serving 3,400 families. And towards the end of August, the state did unveil the blueprint for a safer economy, which pretty much was a risk-based criteria to help us figure out when we should open using colors. Los Angeles County is currently still purple, widespread, and so we are one of the more restrictive counties in California. In September, the state had their key campaign, the state's key campaign prohibits evictions of tenants through February 1st, 2021. We saw some openings. Hair salons and barbershops did reopen with a 25% capacity and modifications. Downey also completed its first round of cost recovery for the CARES Act, which is really important for our community because we did have a lot different expenses to respond to COVID, and so the CARES Act really helped us there. September 10th, the county launched its safety compliance certificate program to help businesses, train businesses to better comply with COVID-19, ensuring safety of its clients. The county also launched a Safe Pass, which is a mobile app that provides contact tracing. We saw in mid-September, Public Health did allowed a subset of students to have in-person instructions. Shortly after that, we did see Downey Unified School District begin its one-on-one in-person assessment testing for students with individualized education plans. Later in the month, Downey Community Development Department did present the Community Development Block Grant Funding Package to the council, which included grants for business assistance and social services agencies. And we'll see some of the numbers related to that in a bit as well. September 23rd, the state extended its authorization for local governments to halt evictions for commercial renters through March 31st of next year. In October, again, we saw a little bit more opening. Nail salons reopened for indoors with 25% capacity. The county did lift restrictions on outdoor children's playground. Downey opened its playgrounds on the 8th. In October 5th, card rooms also reopened. Outdoor dining was permitted at non-restaurant breweries and wineries. And on the 7th, we saw indoor malls and shopping centers reopen at a maximum capacity of 25% as well. On the 12th, we also reopened Downey Avenue between the 2nd and 3rd Street to vehicular traffic. It was used temporarily for outdoor dining. And then on the 13th, Downey completed again the second round of cost recovery reporting for the CARES Act. On the 14th of last month, the county allowed private gatherings of no more than 3 households, obviously with some restrictions there as well. Later in the month, the county permitted batting cages, miniature golf, go-kart racing to operate outside. Arcades and other indoor family entertainment operations remain closed. They also permitted personal care establishments to offer services indoor with modifications, and they clarified permitted food services at indoor malls and shopping centers. So those are a lot of things that's been going on. We do just want to kind of give you an idea where we're at in terms of stats as well. And these numbers, I just want to highlight that these are actually numbers since the pandemic started in March. So the county has seen 322,207 cases with, unfortunately, 7,172 deaths. Downey saw the numbers at 4,910 cases with 91 deaths. And this is as of November 4th, 2020. I would like to also share, and I didn't add it here, we have medical calls weekly, and it approximates about 250 calls a week. Of that, about 1/4 of those do actually come back with results of confirmed cases, 1/4. Other stats, September 30th, these are some numbers that we had. I just wanted to share them. Obviously, the numbers are more since then, but we did have a total of 2,542 COVID-19 hotline calls, a total of 2,808 social media postings. Code enforcement did go out, deal with COVID-19 compliance complaints, 410, and we've had the mayor provide update videos at 15 videos thus far. Other things that the city's doing that you may not see is that we are currently at our Emergency Operations Center activation level 3, which is the lowest, but we have staff monitoring the situation, make sure that we are up to date. The city continues to, as I mentioned, work on cost recovery, recoup some of those expenses. And we also help distribute PPE supplies to city staff and our partner agency. Here is actually Miss Mariana Pacheco from Downey Adult School. And those supplies help students to continue their education at healthcare facilities. Here's some pictures from the food drive we saw in August. We had over 130 volunteers serving, again, 3,400 families. As you know, COVID doesn't mean that other emergencies stops. We saw in September, October, quite extreme heat waves. And so we actually opened our cooling center at Barbara J. Riley Center. Thank you to Parks and Recreation staff for doing those. We developed a policy to ensure that it also took into consideration public health concerns, otherwise COVID, social distancing and such. Other things that we saw in September and October was Emergency Preparedness Month. We tried to engage community with our virtual contests. We also had the Great Shakeout, seeing 248 staff participate, whether they were at home or at the office. And we also had 238 residents participate as well. A majority of those came from our Aspire students. Parks and Recreation from August 21st to November 10th provided 14,957 senior meal grab and go meals, 2,496 wellness checks, and 1,001 home meal deliveries. As you can see, many of our departments are busy. Again, Parks and Rec continues to engage our community through a lot of the virtual programs, Downey at Home. And they are always staying up to date to any LA County protocols related to parks. Other programs, as we've seen in Halloween, the home decorating contest, the candy crawl, drive-in movies. Community development has seen 34 outdoor dining applications, and there are 9 businesses with temporary outdoor business activity, which includes salons and gyms. As for our residential rental assistance, total applications, we've seen 516 thus far. 142 checks have been distributed. We do have 169 total applicants on our waiting list. In terms of our business assistant programs, we've seen 2 businesses for the Parklet reimbursement program, 29 businesses for our business grant program. Space Center, a lot of different programs provided virtually as well. We see the City of STEM online, Spooky Science, YMCA, after school STEM programs, early childhood STEM programs, and LAUSD STEM programs. I'm not going to go through this list, but here's just a list from public health of things that are open, closed, partially open. How do you get this information? Please follow us at either visit our website. We have it listed right there. We also are on social media at City of Downey, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And obviously, you can also call our coronavirus hotline, where you will get a person to help answer your questions as well. Those are the phone numbers available to you. Oops, I apologize. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, none? All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, so I did have one question for Radke. So, yesterday the county just announced that we're kind of experiencing a surge in LA County, and Downey is one of the cities that's being targeted for that. So what does that mean to us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it's an ongoing effort. Our fire department is always looking into, they meet weekly as well, developing their own incident action plan. Please know that we are constantly, promoting it, social distancing through our social media. We work with LA County Emergency Medical Services Agency for any protocol change to make sure that we're following protocols and we are protecting both our staff and our residents as well. Was there any specific questions or, I'm sorry,
My concern was just that we're kind of being targeted as one of these, few cities in LA County that are experiencing more of a surge than the rest of the county. And just how does that affect us as a city in regards to, notifications or business openings or closings or anything like that?
On that particular, Councilmember Ashton, as RACT has indicated, we've been, monitoring this. We have our EOC. We meet as a staff to always look at how we can prevent gatherings, do things. Quite frankly, one of the things we will be looking at and bringing to the council is whether or not we have these live meetings that we're having now as we move forward. Recently, I sent all of you, or I think Vanya sent my assistant sent you all a survey that I had her do. We're one of only 2 cities in the region that are actually conducting live meetings. Everything is Zoom. So as that number starts to climb, we may look at early December going to a virtual platform only because we want to prevent the things that we just had outside where we had a number of people gathered together. So those are the types of things that we look at on a continual basis, and those are the kinds of changes that we will make and pivot. As far as what we've been doing, we will continue to do that, which is making sure that we use our social media platforms, have a live person to answer calls. We will continue to do virtual classes for recreation. You see the numbers. I don't know if you saw any of those. Played close attention. There's a couple line items there that we had some significant numbers in terms of the people participating virtually at our Space Center. So those are all things that we are doing, and we'll continue to do them. And the staff is aware of those things, and we will monitor it. And as if the county goes to a place where the numbers are really surging, we may go back to doing appointment only for city people to come and do business at City Hall as well. So those are things, we don't know exactly what that number is or what the threshold is, but we'll keep it under advisement and we'll look at it as the near future brings it clearer into our perspective.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
No other questions. Thank you very much. Great job. Now is the time for City Council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, and conference meeting reports. And I'll start off to my far left with Council member Alex Staub.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Welcome, everyone. I know we have a few people online watching and people in the audience. I want to recognize a great job at doing the Pledge of Allegiance, Executive Director of Downey Chamber of Commerce. You get better and better every time. Michael Calvert, good job.
Now he knows the words. He's getting better.
And then also my Planning Commissioner, Noveras Frometa, in the audience. Welcome. And everyone else, welcome to your city government at work. Just a couple of items. As a reminder, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I want to thank all the veterans out there, past and present, serving our military. We are indebted to you for your service and for continuing to make our country as great as it is. City Hall will be closed, and just those who may be wondering, street sweeping and the trash pickup will be as normal routine. Next Monday, the Old River School Road Rehabilitation Project will begin, and that is exciting upgrades that we've been planning, I think, for years now, and that is from Imperial to Arnett. It begins Monday, and it will be going on all the way through next March. So it should be some great improvements there. And I also want to thank the Chamber, back to Mr. Calvert. Last week, we had the opportunity to participate in a virtual Christmas parade that will be, when will it be launched, Mr. Calvert? So December 6th, people can log on and watch what would otherwise be a typical Downey Christmas parade will be a virtual parade, but it was very well organized, and we enjoyed it. And just want to thank all those. And we all know that the chamber is mostly run by volunteers and members of the community and the business community. So thank you to all those who participated. And we just want to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. That concludes my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have our Mayor Pro Tem, Claudia Fermetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to be here. And it's nice to have you here on council in our chambers. And thank you to those that are tuning in via YouTube and certainly are part of this process every couple of weeks. We appreciate you. I want to recognize the individuals that have already been recognized, Michael Calvert and my husband, Noveres Fermetta. Thank you for being here as well. I would like to remind our residents that we continue to get calls, or I continue to get calls, notifications regarding bulky items that are thrown out on the street. And I do want to use this opportunity to let you know that our staff continues to work diligently with CalMet. And Mr. Aldo, when you have an opportunity, if you can give us a report as far as CalMet and what they are going to be doing in working with our apartment dwellers to hopefully reduce the fees for those bulky pickups. I think that is important. As we continue, as it's been said with COVID, we continue to, yes, see those numbers climb. And as much as we want to return to some sense of normalcy, unfortunately, those numbers continue to increase. And in fact, I believe San Diego was scaled back now to the most restrictive tier. So from red is back to purple. And as our city manager mentioned, also, we keep looking and really being very careful in terms of monitoring the numbers in LA County. And short of being punitive in our city, I really want to remind everybody that is joining us that we need to continue to adhere with these social distancing and these facial coverings. We have seen over the past few weeks a 20 to 25% increase in the number of cases and the positivity rate. And so as the holidays are approaching, we really need to be conscientious about that. We want to return to normal, but again, we are unable to do that. There's individuals that are losing their lives to this virus, depending on their comorbidities and depending on the complications. There are many others that do not require hospitalization and they recover and they're okay, but we don't know who is going to fall ill with that. So I do want to remind our residents. I do get calls from some residents and complaints regarding large gatherings at times in our neighborhoods. And again, from a local perspective, we can't be policing everybody, but I think it goes back to having personal responsibility. And we want to continue to make sure that our businesses remain strong and that our children can go back to some sense of schooling in the coming year, but really it all depends on all of us. So thank you for continuing to work with us, and again, we're all in this together. I also want to ask the staff regarding. I had the privilege to attend a neighborhood watch meeting last week on Thursday at Apollo Park regarding some of the issues that we had discussed regarding the transient activity and the illegal activity around the park and around the area. About 22 people, neighbors, gathered for that meeting, and they were very vocal about the park, about trash around the park, and our police officers that were there with Councilmember Ashton and myself were very vocal about, the continuous activity, illegal activity that continues to take place, as well as late night gatherings and loud music being played. So I want to continue to ask the staff to help us monitor that situation. There's a couple of areas there that continue to be a significant problem in regards to that. We want to be humane with being homeless. It's not a crime, but we want to really make sure that our parks are not places where squatters can continue to be. And last but not least, one more thing I want to advise our community is that in the city of Downey, we do not allow for rentals to be used as Airbnbs. And so there have been some notices and some complaints of community residents that see some properties that may be potentially used as Airbnbs. And so I do want to let you know that our staff is aware, that I am aware, and we are going to continue to monitor that. But again, we can't always be everywhere, and I really appreciate if you can reach out to me or any one of my council colleagues. We are voted to not just by district, but to represent all of you. And if you can please reach out to us. There are times that you know what's happening in your block or in your neighborhood, and we may not be aware. So we will do everything we can to ensure we bring those issues, we correct those issues. So thank you, Madam Mayor. That will conclude my comments, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Councilmember Sean Ashton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say congratulations, Madam Mayor, and to the other candidates that won their elections. Congratulations. I look forward to working with everyone on our city council come next month. And with that, I conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Councilmember Rick Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to sit in this seat. I just have a few things to report out. We have a new president for Gangs Out of Downey, and I'm spending a lot of time with Hector Sosa. He's a great new president. As a past president myself, I know that that's a great organization that works well in our community with our schools and our law enforcement. And so with that in mind, during my time here as elected official, I created the Clergy Council and the Downey Care Collaborative. And now there's other collaboration of other nonprofits that can help the Gangs in Downey by putting those together. So this past meeting, our Clergy Council was able to meet with another group called Operation Jumpstart, which is a Long Beach-based group, which is a wonderful effort to mentor kids from 8th grade to college. And so I've been able to tie our Clergy Council and our Downey Care Collaborative and now Gangs in Downey, with them all together, so we can guarantee that our kids not only will graduate, but we have a pathway to college, trade school, or employment, or the military. And then lastly, I was part of the Downey Chamber of Commerce virtual Christmas parade. It was a great time. I know we're used to the long event that takes most of the day. In this situation, it was just not long enough for us all to be together and kind of laugh and joke, but it was a great event. So thank you, Michael, for doing that. And that's it for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I just want to start off with just thanking everyone for joining us today, either in person or virtually. I know times are tough, and we're entering the cold months. Flu season is upon us, and as you've heard, our COVID numbers are getting worse. So as was mentioned by our Mayor Pro Tem, we have to make sure to wear our facial coverings, practice social distancing, and make sure you wash your hands constantly. So I also wanted to mention some events that I attended. On Halloween, I was fairly busy. I attended the Space Center for the Candy Crawl event, and I was dressed up as a mad scientist, or kind of like a mad scientist. I handed out candy. It was a fun event. I don't know if we know how many cars were there or how many kids were there. Do we know? Yeah, all I know is the cars kept coming. So it was a lot of fun. I know PD also was a part of it. So it was nice to have this kind of event. There were a lot of families that thanked us for holding this event so that they could have their kids celebrate Halloween. But in addition to that, I also went to the Halloween drive-in movie night over at the adult school where we watched A Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's always a good movie to watch. And I also participated in the Downey Chamber Virtual Christmas. It was a little weird, as was mentioned. It was really short, but I'm glad that we were able to at least participate somewhat in a Christmas parade. So thank you very much. And I'm excited to say that the elections are over. So it's a lot of work, put in a lot of hours, and I'm excited that the Downey residents voted for me to remain on council. This is a privilege. I love serving our great city. I love helping residents, and so it's an honor being up here on the dais. So thank you to all the Downey residents who voted for me. Thank you. And last but not least, I do want to mention, again, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so I want to, again, acknowledge all of our veterans who are in attendance. If you are a veteran, you're here at our council meeting, I would like for you to please stand up so that way we can honor you. A round of applause. Thank you for your service. Next on our agenda is a public hearing. Adopt mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Lakewood Boulevard at Florence Avenue intersection improvements, capital improvement project number 19-07. The hour having arrived, the public hearing is now open. City Clerk Duarte, do we have proof of publication?
We do, Mayor.
Is there a motion, a second, to receive and file? Second? Who made the second? Rick. City Clerk Duarte, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Ashton?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Saab? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Prometa?
Yes.
And Mayor Pacheco?
Yes.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. City Manager Livas, do we have a staff report?
Madam Mayor, we do have a staff report. It'll be given by our Public Works Director, Delfino Kansunji.
Thank you, Mr. Livas. Good evening, Mayor Pacheco, members of the City Council. There you go. One of the priority projects in the city's Capital Improvement Program, or CIP, is the Lakewood Boulevard at Florence Avenue intersection improvements. This project will construct capacity enhancements and infrastructure improvements to accommodate the projected 26% increase in traffic volumes by the year 2035. More specifically, the proposed improvements include intersection widening to provide dual left turn lanes in the northbound and southbound directions on Lakewood Boulevard. So if you refer to this map, this is Lakewood Boulevard, which goes north-south, and this is Florence Avenue, which goes east-west. Currently, there's only one left turn lane in the northbound and southbound directions. This project will add a second left turn lane, which you can see here with the two left turn arrows shown in yellow for both the northbound and the southbound directions. In addition, this project will add a dedicated or an exclusive right turn lane in the westbound direction on Florence. So it's this right arrow right here. We will reconstruct the intersection, all the approach and the departure lanes with concrete pavement, including decorative crosswalks on all 4 approaches. We will construct ADA improvements at all the intersection corners. We will relocate conflicting utilities. Right now, there are electrical facilities. There's an Edison transmission pole at the northeast corner. There are a number of street lights and pedestrian light poles, a couple of fire hydrants and catch basins that will also need to be relocated in order to accommodate the widening. We will modify the existing traffic signal, and there will be incidental striping and signing modifications too. The total estimated cost of the project, including environmental, design, right-of-way, utility relocation, and construction, is $4,925,000, with funding coming from the I-605 corridor hotspots congestion grant funds from Metro. There are no local funds that will be used for this project. In order to assess the environmental impacts associated with this project, an initial study was prepared in accordance with CEQA. The initial study evaluated several environmental categories. They're all listed here. I'm not going to read all of them, but they included air quality, biological, cultural resources, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, transportation, and so forth. Based on the technical studies conducted, the project was determined to have less than significant impacts with mitigation measures incorporated. A notice of intent to adopt a mitigated negative declaration, or MND, was prepared in July 2020 and sent to the appropriate governmental agencies and applicable organizations. As part of the MND, a mitigation monitoring and reporting program was prepared and will need to be implemented during the construction phase. So the following is a summary of the environmental impacts with the corresponding mitigation measures. 1, biological resources. Mitigation measures include removal of trees shall be conducted outside of the bird nesting season, which is from February 1st through August 31st. 2, cultural resources. If any cultural resources are discovered, work within the vicinity of the find shall stop until a qualified archaeologist is able to assess the find and provide recommendations. 3, geology and soils. The project shall implement the pavement design as recommended by the geotechnical consultant. 4, water quality. The project shall comply with all stormwater regulations, including obtaining a general construction permit from the State Water Board, implementing best management practices, or BMPs, and preparing and implementing a stormwater pollution prevention plan, or SWIPE. 5, land use planning. The city shall come into agreement with all the affected property owners prior to acquiring partial right-of-way and temporary construction easements as part of this project. 6, noise control. All construction equipment shall use noise reduction features such as operating mufflers, engine shrouds, and so forth. Startup of heavy construction equipment shall be prohibited before 7 o'clock in the morning during working days. And lastly, 7, transportation. Temporary relocation of bus stops shall be coordinated with the appropriate transit agencies, which in this case are Metro and Downey Link. The 30-day comment period ended on September 11th, 2020. Comments were received from the City of Norwalk, Caltrans, and Metro. None of the 3 letters received contained significant comments. In conclusion, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt a resolution adopting the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Lakewood Boulevard at Florence Avenue intersection improvements. That concludes my report. I'm available to answer questions.
Are there any questions from the council? Yes.
No, I just have one question. I just have one question. Has there been any consideration, some cities have the crosswalks that go almost in an X form rather than in a square form. Any consideration of that at all, or does that even work for our city?
We tried that.
Okay, that's why I asked the question.
I have a PTSD because of that.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
Are you referring to the offset ones, or are you talking about the scramble where you can actually go diagonal from one
Diagonal,
to
yeah.
the other?
We tried it for 4 hours.
Really? Really? Okay.
If I remember correctly, was this on Downey Avenue and Firestone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember Rodriguez, typically what you would do is you want to have those in areas where you have a large pedestrian foot traffic. For example, in Pasadena, they have them, and where you actually want to slow traffic down so that people don't get hurt, and there's, people are crossing the street to get to various places. This definitely would not meet that requirement. This is a thoroughfare. You want traffic to move as quickly as possible, especially when you got freeways close by. So it wouldn't meet the requirement. We try to do it on Firestone. On Firestone
Downey Avenue.
and Downey Avenue, and it just backed up traffic like crazy. So
Never mind.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the challenge with those types of intersections too is that you can't keep them in that facing for that whole 24 hours because the peak number of pedestrians are really just within a certain period.
The only reason I bring it up is because you mentioned at the start of your presentation, to kind of eliminate traffic congestion to 2035, and thinking forward, what will our city look like at that time? So that's why I asked the question. Okay, never mind.
But on a similar note, though, I know it's really early, but are we also going to beautify the sidewalks and the corners and all that, or are we just talking about just the roadway?
Well, there's a decorative. Well, I won't speak for
I
Delfino,
didn't
but
see any images, but I know it's early on.
no, it's pretty standard stuff. And then you have decorative concrete there, but that's about it. There's nothing additional.
Yeah, so that's correct. It will be decorative crosswalks on all the approaches. All the sidewalk is already existing, so it will be quite expensive to replace all the sidewalk.
What is there anything? Because it's such a. We probably get 55,000 cars there or more, probably.
Probably about 45,000 vehicles per day.
Busy intersection, and I wonder. I know we did a lot of work. We did pretty much all of Lakewood all the way down, but that whole corner, I walk it almost every day. It's part of my exercise routine, but it's. I think we could do a little bit to beautify it. Is there anything we can do since we're already going to be there, to beautify it a little bit?
Well, there's an issue in terms of funding. We're already spending how much?
Right now, the funding is 4.9 million.
So that wouldn't be part of this. So we'd have to come up with. I'm not sure what you mean by beautifying. Are you?
Well, there's a lot of
like.
Some maybe decorative landscaping on the corners. I don't know. I'm not.
I'm
not the creative one.
Yeah.
What can we look at also is that we're working with the COG on a Florence Avenue complete streets concept right now. Once we have that concept developed, which would be adding more sidewalks, ADA improvements throughout that corridor. Once we have that concept developed, we can probably apply for grants once they become more available from Metro.
Well, for example, what Councilman Rodriguez said, the crosswalk, right? We've always tried to do, we've wanted to have more decorative crosswalks, and we always seem to do just a standard crosswalk. Maybe we can do something decorative on that.
Yeah, in this particular case, we have funding available for decorative
what is it gonna
crosswalks. It can be pavers that are heavy duty or more traffic rated pavers with a concrete sub-base. So that would probably be more aesthetically more pleasing compared to stamped concrete or just stamped asphalt. So we can definitely look into that or other options.
What's the timeline on this? I didn't remember seeing.
Right now, so if the City Council adopts this resolution, so this will complete the environmental phase. We're about 60% in the design phase, so maybe another 3 months or so. And then right-of-way acquisition will probably take about 6 months. So depending on how long that will take. So we're probably about summer, probably next year.
Right after bird season, nesting season.
Well, in that one, there are mitigating measures where we have to get a survey done throughout that time. If there are really no birds or nests, then we can remove the 5 trees that need to be removed as part of this project. So we can work around that mitigation measure.
Very well.
Thank you, Delfino. I was going to ask some of the questions that have been asked already, so thank you
You're
for
welcome.
the presentation.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Members of the audience who wish to address the council regarding this matter may now come forward and form lines while maintaining social distancing. Seeing none?
Move to close public comment. Let's move on. Move to approve. Second. Please vote.
Fucking funny now. Huh?
Yeah.
It's all fucking funny now. All of a sudden.
Make a joke.
And when you're spending $5 million of jackass taxpayers who don't pay attention to how their money's spent, and what they're getting is what you get. Bullshit. All fucking bullshit. Same issue would happen on Paramount Boulevard. You ran out of fucking money. And what happened to the medians? They sat there for how long? Where are the fucking trees, Gilbert? Where are the plants?
They're out there.
They're planted.
Where are the
Pretty
lights?
nice. Pretty nice.
That's the issue. But
Good job, Mr. Levis.
like
Nice.
Rodriguez said,
Looks nice.
2035, and what are we looking for? Well, you ain't gonna look for shit because you voted Biden in, and you ain't gonna get shit because Biden can't throw out the president that exists. So,
Mr. Herman, Biden isn't on the agenda.
pardon me?
Biden is not on the agenda.
Yes, he is, because it's a capital improvement. The money coming in is not just state, but federal dollars to improve the handicap areas that you neglect for being so fucking dumbheaded on where's the signage, where's the ADA, removal of those furnitures like the hydrants, the poles. Get fucking Edison to put it underground. It does no purpose on top. And besides, Alex is right. Make it look like a fucking white neighborhood. Put some aesthetics. Put trees, put murals. Fucking paint the sidewalk curb to curb with Black Lives Matter. We don't fucking care. We don't care if we throw money away like it's shit. The same way that dumb shit, Cincinnati's a congressman, couldn't put my name on a street because he's too fucking stupid and he lost his race. But let me stay on Florence Avenue. Where are the bike lanes? Why can't we put a bike lane there? We're going to spend $5 million. At least the stupid wetbacks in the neighborhood can ride up and down on Lakewood from north to south and realize that's what you pay for, that's what you get. Get the fuck off the street if you don't know how to ride a bike. And if you're on the street, get ready for a hit and run. Because California is the most hit and run, fucking unsafe city in the world. And there's no other fucking place like LA or now Downey. You started it with one bike lane, you might as well run the fucker north and south from end to end until you hit the San Gabriel Mountains. Because that's the only way people are gonna use it. You got public transportation, no one gets on the fucking bus or trains anymore because you're afraid of COVID-19. All your fears. Just put the fucking handicap ramps up, put the curb cuts in the right position, put the slope and angles of those so-called cuts the right way, and get us fucking back on the street. Get us back to work. Otherwise, stuck on stupid Gilbert will sit there with a smile on his face, wondering where the next fucking $5 million is going to come from so he can shove it up the taxpayer's ass, dumbass.
Jeez.
Mike Greenspan, a Bruin butt kicking Florida Gator. I'm glad Mr. Herman mentioned those bike lanes. I was thinking that very same thing, amongst other things. After all, improvements, $5 million. And now we need more money for beautification, landscaping, other stuff. I mean, obviously, this is a partially funded project. Not all of the money is there. Hey, folks, if you like the library and how quickly it's getting done, you'll love this project. Oh, wasn't I told that that library would be finished in October? Well, it's November. Well, imagine this project. It's going to be one of those time lag things. Oh, we'll be talking about how quickly it'll get done. And then I'll be back here when you guys aren't finished on your projection date. Now, $5 million and no landscape or anything? Well, where's this money going to come from? Oh, I know. Let's do the Janice Hahn thing. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'll show you. These are the gloves. The gloves to pick the money off the trees. You got a supervisor that thinks money grows on trees, and I guess that's trickled down to this level. You guys think it grows on trees. $5 million, and you're still going to need more money. You're not going to have all the money that you need. Negative declaration. What about the fiscal aspects of the negative declaration? Your money is short. It's not going to be there. Oh, I know. Just about Democratic. You put Biden in and the federal money will come in for the curb cuts and everything else. You got a super majority in the legislature. The Democrats will just rain money on you. And if not, we just pick it off the trees. And I've got gloves if you need that. I mean, it's half-cocked or half-baked, this proposal. We'll wait and see. Just like the library that's not finished, and you're a month behind on that, wait till this project. Maybe we could be selling numbers or dates, kind of like a pool, figuring out how far behind it'll be in its completion from these promises that you're giving now. And there'll be lame excuses coming up when the completion date's not met. So, I mean, it's nice and it's sugar sweet and everything else, but hey, I love good fiction, and you guys are really authoring a lot of good fiction talking about your completion dates. Just look at the library. It's a great example of something not finished on time. Say anything to get us to pay the money. After all, it'll come from Sacramento or Washington or someplace, or pick it off some trees. Have Janice lead you to the money trees, the promised land. I'll take your 13 seconds back, baby killers.
You may come forward.
Brian Heyman, City of Downey, Honorable Mayor, Council. I'm all for this capital improvement project. I'm concerned, though, that we may have a repeat of the nightmare we all experienced with regard to traffic control when the Lakewood Gallatin project was underway, and also the segment leading all the way up to Telegraph Road. It was a nightmare. I don't know if you folks remember that, but getting through the traffic at that time was terrible. And here it is, Florence and Lakewood is even more impacted intersection. And so I would urge Council and Public Works to give direction to our police chief, if necessary, to have motor officers out there during construction, because the contractors who are handling traffic control, at least from my recall of the experience with Gallatin and Lakewood, weren't really doing an adequate job. It was terrible trying to get through there, especially with all the other uses of that intersection during the summer. I'd also like to recommend that wherever possible, and I know this is the strategy of our Public Works Director, where there's a capital improvement project ongoing, that sidewalk maintenance be performed as part of that capital improvement project. All up and down Lakewood Boulevard, we have trip and fall hazards that I've identified, empty tree wells that with the last Lakewood Boulevard improvement project where we added sidewalks, many of the tree wells that were cut into the sidewalk or formed in the sidewalk never got trees. I don't know if that was a cost savings measure, but those are now trip and fall hazards. And I've identified dozens of them and have worked with Delfino and our ADA coordinator on addressing some of those issues. But here's an opportunity to beautify Lakewood and Florence just by putting trees in the empty tree wells. It's just amazing to me. If you take the time to walk in the city, you see a lot of things that you don't see when you drive through. And the trip and fall hazards of sidewalks that have not been maintained, we've deferred maintenance on those. Wherever we can pick up a sidewalk repair as part of a capital improvement project, even if it's 500 to 1,000 feet away from that capital improvement project, I recommend that we do it, because we're not spending enough money to maintain the existing sidewalks. It's about $500,000 a year. As a result, we have uplifted sidewalks all over the city. And there's a major uplift right on Florence Avenue at about Downey. That is just unbelievable. It's like a roller coaster of uplifted sidewalk and poor repairs and ramping and asphalt. The bus stop is uplifted there by the trees. Lamp post is tilting over. It's about ready to fall there. So I urge this Public Works Director to, wherever he can, to pick up a sidewalk repair as part of the capital improvement project. Do it through an addenda in the bidding process or through a change order if a contract has been let. We can't just wait for capital improvement projects to come along to address these issues, these trip and fall hazards and these ADA violations. We need to spend more money up front in maintaining that infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Heyman. City Manager Rivas, would you like to make any comments?
Well, actually, Delfino can come up, but look, the bottom line is we have spent more money on streets and sidewalk repairs in the last 5 years than we have in the previous 15. It's not even close. So I understand the frustration. It's a national issue that you have, that there isn't enough money going into roads all over. So certainly we can do an addendum. That would be great if we had the money to do it. I mean, obviously we would do that. We do throughout the city. We rotate every year. We do sidewalk repairs on a consistent basis, which it's just a money issue, really, what it comes down to. And we've been really prolific at getting grant money. We've done a really, really solid job. And I understand Mr. Heyman's frustration, and we hear it from other residents as well. But I also want to keep it in perspective in terms of how much money we spent prior to the years before that, and what we've done. I don't know if there's anything else, Delfino, you want to add on that.
Mr. Rivas did an excellent job of explaining what we've been doing in the past years. The only thing I wanted to add, last council meeting when we brought forward the update to the ADA annual report, we did mention that every year we spend about, I think, an average of $400,000 to $500,000 doing ADA improvements alone. This is not even including capital improvement projects where we rehabilitate the street and we also fix sidewalks and construct ADA improvements. But on the average, I think over the last 4 or 5 years, I think we've spent close to maybe $500,000-600,000. So I think we've pretty much spent about $2.5 million over the last 4 or 5 years. So that's a lot of money that goes on ADA improvements. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated funding for ADA improvements. So we don't get any federal funds. We don't get any state funds to just do ADA improvements alone. So what's happening is that whatever money we spent on doing ADA improvements, that takes away from the pavement. So we just have to make the funding work in doing both as much as we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a real balancing act, right? It's like, do you take care of the streets? Do you take care of the sun? And you can't do everything at the same time. So what you try to do is you try to do a little bit of each, and you take care of the things that are the worst in the city. So, and that's the challenge. You know, it's frustrating. We would, if we had the money, we would do it. We wouldn't have a problem doing it. It's a money issue. Mm-hmm. And I do commend Delfino and the staff because they really, we aggressively go after grant money. And you see that in the annual reports every year, how much money that we garner. And that's them being very active. We have dedicated consultants that help us with just going after grant money. So, and we'll continue to do that. And, we'll continue to identify those. And to the extent that we can take care of more of them, we're going to continue doing that. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we close public comment, I'd like to invite members of the public wishing to address the council regarding this matter who want to call may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. City Clerk Duarte, have you received any written correspondence regarding this item to be read into the record?
We have not, Mayor.
Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we have one call. Please state your name and begin speaking.
Was this just for the intersection?
Yes.
Mr. Second? Okay. Public comment period now closed. I will now entertain a motion.
Second?
I'm sorry, a motion to adopt the resolution of the City Council adopting the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Lakewood Boulevard at Florence Avenue intersection improvement project in accordance with the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act. There was a motion and a second. City Clerk Duarte, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Ashton?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Saab?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frometa,
Yes.
and Mayor Pacheco.
Yes.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. Now is the time for non-agenda public comment. Before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I would like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules that contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you are participating telephonically. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to address the council on issues that are within the city's jurisdiction. Since we are under a federal, state, and local emergency declaration in Los Angeles County Safer at Work, and in the community order, I will limit the non-agenda public comment period to 30 minutes pursuant to Downey Municipal Code Section 2105G. Members of the audience who wish to address the council may now come forward while maintaining social distancing. Please step forward.
Well, you can see me now. The audio's on. Trump, do not concede. Trump, do not concede. Trump, do not concede. Let that fucking asshole figure it out. The world cannot live off of $15 an hour when the rest of us are struggling. And there's nothing you can change because you've been doing it for 40 fucking long years. The same thing with the other two cunts, Dianne Feinstein, Roybal Allard. Time for you to hang up your roots and get your fucking canas out of Congress because you haven't done shit for veterans. That's why Gilbert Cincenaro's jackass is now packing his bag as Biden, bullshitter, liar, talks about COVID-19. You heard it, 25% in Downey have experienced COVID-19. I've been walking the fucking streets, getting on your fucking dirty trains, on your fucking dirty buses, and walking your fucking filthy streets because none of you get out to do your job unless some asshole like me calls in and complains, why can't niggers sweep the fucking streets and pick up the fucking trash? And you heard it earlier, Mayor, during your rent people over in those fucking apartments. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of trash because you're gonna throw those fucking people out into the street. They can't pay the rent. They can't go to work. And God hates homosexuals, Rodriguez. And you know it. You fucking know it, and you won't agree with me, but you're smiling because you know I'm fucking right. God hates homosexuals. God hates homosexuals because those goddamn fuckers come out of the closet and think that their vote counts, sticking their big dick into politics business when we should all be equal, all have the same rights, but no, now you want another gender fight. Another fucking gender fight. And then you got that stupid spook, Kamala Harris up there, acting like she's surprised that they won. If I was winning an election and knowing I had the lead, I'd be up there saying, fuck you, get the fuck out of Dodge, President 45. But no, Trump has bigger balls than all of you. Canicas. And why is that? Because he's not going to step down. He's not going to concede. He's going to fight this the way all Americans should fight for your fucking right to be heard. Stop sending out mail bailouts. All these fucking people that are at home, if you can't get to vote, you don't vote. If you can pick up a gun and serve this country, get on your knees and crawl to your house and fight for this fucking world, then do so. 42 U.S.C. 1983, fuck you, local government.
And that's over.
You may come step forward.
Lee Squire, Vietnam veteran, son and nephew of World War II veterans. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Subject, Veterans Day, thank you for our freedom. Thanks to the City Council for the wreath at the War Memorial. I was hoping to have had a rabbi and a Holocaust survivor saying thank you to our veterans. I'm asking the mayor to place the ribbon that I provided to her on the plaque for Ricky Galvez, as today is the Marine Corps birthday. I'm now going to read a letter from the Holocaust survivor of Downey, even though it says it's to Brea, but applies to all of those of World War II who were killed in action. Temple near Timid of Downey, from a Holocaust survivor. I would like to honor and memorialize the 9 veterans from Brea, California, who lost their lives during World War II. Thanks to their heroism, we are a free nation to this day. I'm a lucky 9-year-old survivor of the Holocaust. I was smuggled out of Germany via the help of the Swedish Red Cross. My mother came to the USA a year prior to establish herself and prove she could support me. I live with my grandparents. Unfortunately, they and the rest of my family perished at Auschwitz concentration camp. Edie Burke Baker. I'd now like to read, It is a Soldier. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. God bless America, God bless the nation of Israel, and God bless our United States military and its veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. You may come forward.
Mike Greenspan, and of course, with Christmas approaching, I do want to be the first to say, Happy Hanukkah, you scab rabbis. After all, they need to unionize the synagogues. They can afford it. Now, once again, it's great that Sean Ashton is the president of the Independent Cities Association, and it's nice to see Downey taking the lead and being very active. However, there's one board member we just need to get rid of. I call him Englander Jr. He's known as John Lee. John Lee was the chief deputy for Mitch Englander when the city of LA had to pay out a $75,000 sexual harassment complaint. After all, do we need those kind of people on the board of directors for something like that? Hey, we just had the police chaplain here. Rick Rodriguez is a former minister. And it's interesting how Christians seem to take a walk and look the other way when it comes to sexual harassment, because Bert Bachman and his Galpin money is behind Mitchell Englander, as well as his flunky John Lee, who is now on that board. After all, I've mentioned the issue to Sean, and he said Mitch Englander never went to the meetings. Oh, he sure went to Las Vegas. Well, you see, Sean and the guy before him, they have a dick. And of course, Mitchell Englander was going to Las Vegas, using the meeting as his front to see his escort, who has a pussy. And we just don't need those kind of people on the board. All the other directors I have no problem with. But having John Lee on there, and I've left a message with Nuri about that, I find it hypocritical that we would have a Me Too movement, talk about sexual harassment, and then cunts like Nuri would get out there and appoint John Lee. That's kind of the equivalent of Reverend Jimmy Swaggart leading his protest against preaching against prostitution and patronizing it at the same time. After all, let's not be hypocritical. Let's get rid of John Lee from the board. Just because Nuri is a stupid cunt and can't get it. After all, I'm sick and tired of hearing sexual harassment, and then people like Nuri Martinez, a gash, would go out there and appoint someone who represents sexual harassment. I've got 75,000 reasons why John Lee shouldn't be on that board. And they all are our dollars that we paid to settle the complaint. Why should we be allowing him on that board? And shame on you Christians. It's like you're saying, we're Christians, but morals aren't everything. Fuck you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Brian Heyman. First of all, I want to wish happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps, 245 years of continuous service to our country. Semper Fi from an Air Force guy. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that tomorrow is Veterans Day. And on Veterans Day in 1968, there was a Veterans Memorial dedicated in the city of Downey. It was dedicated in the Theater Plaza. And I may have talked about it in previous meetings. It consists of a sundial. And arrayed around that sundial are the names of the 23 young men who died in Vietnam at that time. And in the 60s, the population of Downey was about 60,000 people. So at that time, everybody knew somebody who got killed in Vietnam, 23 young men. And I was pleased to learn from Mr. Livas that there are plans now underway to relocate the Vietnam Veterans Memorial sundial and rededicate it. And thank you very much for moving forward with that. And I'm sure all of the family members of the deceased veterans of the Vietnam War will appreciate that. I also wanted to ask that if we do go to a virtual meeting only format, that the city makes some improvements in its meeting technology. The experience right now from a user's perspective is not very good as far as zooming in and using the city's platform for whatnot. It's just not a very good experience. So if we're going to go that route, let's put the money in and do it right. And I also would like to suggest that we still do consider moving the venue for the city council meetings to our dark theater. It's got a space there that's not being used. We're paying Venue Tech $650,000 a year to manage a dark space. Let's let them manage our city council meetings. They can bring in all the audio visuals, all the technology. They can build a dais up there for us. Let's have our city council meetings there. There's no reason why we can't do that. And lastly, I want to take this opportunity to especially thank my councilman, Rick Rodriguez, for his service to our city. And I can't know for certain why he was smiling a little while ago during comments from the other speaker, but if I were him, it would be because he realizes that he only has a few more meetings to put up with the bullshit from these traveling minstrels that have taken our theater, our city council meetings into the theater of the absurd. And maybe Mr. Stop smiling about that as well. You've endured so much, Mr. Mayor. And in the Army, the most senior enlisted rank is Sergeant Major. And I have taken to referring to Rick Rodriguez as our Sergeant Mayor, especially when he was serving as mayor. And I have nothing but respect for Rick and his sons who have served in the Army and the LAPD. Rick has brought a military spirit into the city of Downey, and he's done so much for our city. I'm so thankful for him as our city council person. I'm going to miss him, and I wish him all the best in retirement, and cheers, Sergeant Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ready? Okay, members of the public wishing to address the city council regarding non-agenda items may now call our teleconference phone line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record, and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. City Clerk Duarte, do we have any written correspondence on non-agenda items to be read into the record?
Yes, Mayor, we do. There's two emails. The first email is from Damaris Pelayo. Good afternoon. I am a resident, neighborhood watch captain, and an advocate for the residents on Adenmore Avenue, Cheddar Street, and Borson Street. Residents have raised disturbing concerns over the patrons, partiers from a local business named Hully Gully on Imperial Highway. This business has caused an increase of disturbance in the residential neighborhood in the streets mentioned above. The reason is that the business does not have allocated parking for their patrons. Therefore, on weekends when this business is open, our streets are filled with cars and people. The issues are several. Number one, this business is not following COVID-19 state mandate to enforce masks and social distancing. It's been seen that many people entering and leaving are not wearing masks. The business is obvious to be over capacity due to the massive amount of cars parked in the streets. And this business seems to not be operating at selling food in order for their bar and live music to be open according to the state mandate. Because of the business not having designated parking for their patrons, the patrons are crossing Imperial Highway, jaywalking, to park in our residential neighborhood at night on the weekends. These partiers are vandalizing our streets with human waste on the sidewalks, used condoms, bottles of liquor, and beer thrown into many of the neighbors' yards and bushes along with the streets. Many are yelling and arguing in the streets over who's too drunk to drive and have totaled residents' cars parked on the streets due to high speed and drunk driving. Neighbors are waking up on the weekends to clean up all the mess left behind by the partiers of the Holy Gully. We would like these issues resolved, and we have reached our limit of resources for help. Therefore, we would like to address this on the upcoming agenda for the Downey City Council meeting this month. Thank you. And the next email is from Brian Medina from Tree People. Hello, Mayor Pacheco, Mayor Pro Tem Frometa, and Council Members Rodriguez, Saab, and Ashton. My name is Brian Medina, a community organizer with Tree People working in Downey. Tree People is conducting LA's first ever soils needs assessment to collect crucial insight into soil health across LA County. We are hoping to get as much feedback as possible from people all across the Los Angeles County, and we were wondering if you could please fill the survey out and share it with Downey residents who would be open to filling it out. It only takes a maximum of 7 to 10 minutes. As I am sure you know, healthy soil is crucial to combating climate change and addresses big environmental justice concerns in cities across LA. Below is the info on the survey, and we greatly appreciate your consideration in filling it out. Every person that fills it out also gets entered into a raffle for $50 gift cards. To complete this survey, please go to treepeople.org/LA-urban-soil-online-survey. We are hoping folks can fill it out by this Friday, November 13. Let me know if you have any questions. My email address is bmedina@treepeople.org, and my work number is 562-584-1410. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Can we get that email forwarded to all of us?
Yes.
Is there any speakers on the line?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3 phone calls. Give me one moment, please. Please state your name and begin speaking.
It's a gold puppet, bitch. You know.
Yeah, it's disruptive.
It's about time, isn't it?
Can we put them on mute?
I know.
Put 'em
That
on
my
mute.
beautiful.
Can we put them on mute?
Is there put them on
Madam
hold?
City Attorney, can we, do we have to listen to this?
It's disruptive.
Okay.
Where am I? Okay. Sort of done. Yes, all right, thanks. I'm a puppet. I'm new at that stuff. So now,
Just Wayne from Encino.
the post-election public comment. Now, first of all, a shout out to our veterans. You have done a great service to our country. Going back to the days in Vietnam, when you bombed all those Viet Cong little niggers in those creeks and those jungles. Thank you for that. I just wish you would have continued for like the next 20 fucking years, and then we wouldn't have all the problems that we have in the world. But again, military service requires duty, honor, and bombing. And that's why we honor them every year. Now, Donald Trump didn't mean what he said about veterans. He meant to say that after you bomb the shit out of these cocksuckers and come home, benefit, you can call the Great Menace on at 213-974-4444, and that bitch will tell you where your benefits are. My benefits are right here in my kitchen. That's right, using Zoom, the beautiful power. Now I note that Blanca, known as Mommy, will not unraise a hand at a meeting. So right now I'm logged on Zoom, and my beautiful health is ready. It's a blue book. And Mommy Blanca will not allow an unneeded discussion in violation of the Brown Act on Zoom. And she's been doing it for months. Shame on you, Mommy. You don't want to wind up like Jose Rizar, facing 100 years in federal prison and an alcohol problem. And you don't want to wind up like Herb Weston, an election loser, with a retarded son and every family member on the payroll and still can't.
Okay, time's up. Any other speakers?
Two more calls.
No, he's a lawyer, right?
Please state your name and begin speaking.
He's a lawyer.
Hi, yes, my name is Michael Gray, and I'd like to say good evening to the key members of the Downey City Council and my fellow Downey residents. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak before you today. This is also a matter regarding the Holy Bar in Southeast Downey, but I will be speaking about the devaluing of our neighborhood and also the devaluing of our property values of our homes. 27 years ago, a young boy stood in front of the city council as a third-generation Downey citizen. This young boy's family moved to the city in 1957. Moved to the city in 1957, and to this day still resides here. At a young age, this boy was taught to show respect and pride in his community. 27 years ago, that boy proposed and strongly advocated for plans for a skate park. He knew that would be something that for generations kids would be able to enjoy. These plans would later be approved. The skate park was built and still enjoyed today in Independence Park. Fast forward to present day. That young boy stands in front of me as a man and a father. My name is Michael Ray. I'm a father of 5. I have been a Downey resident my entire life, except for the time that I spent in the military, and now I'm a veteran. Once again, I am standing in front of my city council, but not with plans for a skate park. In recent months, I have watched the Southeast Downey neighborhood be taken over by illicit individuals. Their reckless and carefree behavior leaves our neighborhood in disarray every weekend. Early every Saturday and Sunday morning, I walk my neighborhood and I pick up the waste from the night before. And I do not use the word waste lightly. I've seen human waste, items used to clean them oneself, vomit, rubber contraceptives, empty alcohol containers, and drug paraphernalia. I find these items scattered along the streets and on our own private property. Littering being such a small portion of what our neighborhood deals with, the noise, the mindless behavior, leaves my home and others awake at all hours of the evening. I myself, along with my wife, have seen men and women urinating on the curbs. In one unfortunate event, we witnessed a sexual encounter in front of our home. There have been a number of car accidents that have gone unreported due to the intoxication and fear of being arrested. The establishment in which these individuals are gathering cannot be held 100% accountable for their actions or their patrons. Although I am astonished by the number of people that are gathering during the recent state of the world, I do believe that the capacity they are operating at is clearly above the Los Angeles County Health Department would deem acceptable. I am deeply saddened and horrified by the lack of aid and surveillance in the city of our neighborhood.
Sir, your time is up.
Okay,
Thank
let me just add one thing.
Thank you. I took his phone number.
So we do have his name and phone number. So that way we can call them later.
Yes.
And are we still looking into doing something with regards to the Holly Gully? Having conversations with them?
Yes, I know that our code enforcement and our police department have been actively working on this. So we'll get you an update on where we're at and status on the various issues out there.
Okay.
Are they
And then
open?
that way I can call the
Yeah,
resident as
they've,
well.
I think they've been in violation of county orders, yes. They've been doing some stuff out there, yeah.
Because there's no patio outside.
Yeah, yeah. That's been the big challenge, is a lot of bars and places have been open illegally, so.
Okay.
Move to close public comment?
Is there any other speakers? I think there's one more, right?
I'm sorry.
Two more.
Oh, two more.
I thought the wrong thing, sorry.
Please state your name and begin speaking.
George Hofstetter. Good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable mayors of the Downey City Council. The reason I am calling tonight has to do in regards to the city's restrictions currently on estate sales. Last year, 2019, unfortunately, my parents, who were 50-plus year residents of the city of Downey, passed away within 6 months of each other. After dealing with their trust and the time constraints in a trust, we unfortunately were upon the COVID pandemic when I was finally able to start dealing with disposing of their property and their estate. I just recently hired an estate company in order to try and dispose of their property, to get rid of it so that I could sell the house. They actually have 2 houses on their property, and they've been vacant for some time now. It was at that time I discovered that the city only allowed virtual sales, which I understand at the beginning of the pandemic might have been necessary. However, as we get closer to reopening, the malls now reopen, salons are now reopen. The company that I was using used temperature screens, hand sanitizers, face covering, social distancing. You were required to make an appointment to even show up. You couldn't just show up. This was not a garage sale. And then they were only allowing one person in the house at a time in order to get rid of this property. I would ask that the Downey City Council take a look at the restrictions that they imposed several months ago. Take a look at potentially lightening those a little bit so that I can, and other residents in the city can, begin to have an estate sale, get rid of property, put this house up on the market, and get it sold so that somebody who would love to move into the city of Downey can do so. That's all I'm asking at this point. I appreciate your time, and I'd like to wish all of you a happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then one more.
He's already had an opportunity. One question. I know regarding the yard sales and estate sales, we're under the county's orders, and because of that, we're unable to have yard sales or estate sales. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Move to close public comment?
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, public comment period now closed. Now is the time for consent calendar items. Members of the audience who wish to address the council regarding consent calendar items may now come forward and form a line while maintaining social distancing.
Move to close public comment?
Thank you for those comments. Well, you see here on item 9, Downey's approval of destruction of certain records of the police department. Well, you all know what that means. Just like LAPD that were fucking 14-year-old cadets in celebration of what? I want to observe those records. I want to know why the city of Downey has not purchased a Maserati for Dean Milliken, the chief of police. So you save those records. I want to see them. I want to go through them. I have a right to observe public records before you destroy them. Then I go to number 6. Why do you think I picked number 6? Well, the biggest loser, Herb Wesson Jr., said I have mental problems. Well, fuck you, Wesson. Now you're out of a job. Pack up your shit and get the fuck out of LA business. But since we're on number 6, and I accept the work for the Paramount Boulevard, doesn't that sound suspicious when you had this item earlier on the agenda under public hearings? Why were you doing that, Levis? Were you a couple of $1,000 short
Mr. Herman,
from
remember,
$500 million? Since you felt that $400 million was just enough to get by without putting trees and medians and making the place look wonderful, as Alex Saab has said. Miss Pacheco, why is that?
you called me Miss Pacheco. That's pretty good.
Yes, I got good English, Mommy. See, look at Mommy, look. Look at that. Isn't that better? Now you can see my dumb ass. You can see the mayor's beautiful smile, and we don't have to hide from all this corruption and criminality that these so-called local politicians are doing to our country. And for that reason, we need to justify the reason behind the $330,755.70 in total for the Mariposa landscapers. Who the fuck are they? 24-inch box trees? No, I want to see 36 and even the largest trees before I side with these fucking recommendations. And I want an inspection on all fucking trees before they end up like Viragosa's $1 million tree plant, which went wrong.
Mike Greenspan, and I forgot to congratulate you, Mayor Blanca, on your reelection victory. After all, that was a no-brainer, a slam dunk. So now, a couple things I do want to mention. Let's go to number 6. And is this money on Paramount in the median landscape more money? I thought everything was solved with $5 million, even though, of course, trees and other things were not included. I guess I must be wrong. And now let's look at number 7. You're getting a contract with J316 Builder Incorporated for $345,463.92 for janitorial services. After all, what's the alternative? You get the Crooked Service Employees Union and their union goons and the mafia unions ruining things. I guess it's better contracting out, because then we don't have to be hostage to those crooked unions. They can't do anything except fuck things up, gum up the works, and of course, maybe do work stoppages like the mafia people do on housing and stuff to hold you up for more money. So at least you're not like LA with the crooked unions ruining things, I mean. Now, the police records, if there are recent things of police officers fucking underage kids, let's keep those records. Now, if it's Alvin Karpus and Bonnie Parker and Clyde Darrow and Al Capone, well, we don't need those people anymore in the records. They're long gone. Some did not have a good ending to their lives. But about the cops fucking underage children, like we had that guy in LA with the Explorer program. Oh, yes, he was exploring, all right. He was exploring an explorer's 15-year-old pussy. But, of course, you have to be 18 for the consent. That's Officer Kane. So I do have a little bit of suspicions about destroying records that have a 2000 mark on them, especially past 2010. There's just a problem with that. Now, what else do I want to talk about that we're messing up? And that, we've got a fire training modular building. Well, good. We can train the firefighters here. I used to always hear about LAPD talking about they're the training facilities and then they go off to another city. So you can get the training facilities here and then they'll go off to another city after you've footed the bill for all the training. And as far as I say, just like the library, I sure hope your other capital improvement projects are more successful than that. We're only 1 month behind.
Thank you. You may come forward.
Good evening, City Council. By the way, congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you.
Item number 10. I have a couple of procedural questions, and if they were addressed. First one is, you issued 2005 pension obligation bonds. Were these bonds reviewed for potential refunding to have included in this potential $150 million pension obligation bond? 2, does city staff plan to bring back before the City Council an updated preliminary official statement prior to its release to the bond market? Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council regarding consent calendar items may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record, and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. City Clerk Duarte, have we received any written correspondence on consent calendar items to be read into the record?
We have not, Mayor.
Do we have any speakers on the phone regarding consent calendar items?
We have one caller. Mr. Spindler, go ahead, your time's running.
Wow, this is not Mr. Spindler, it's his dog. Can't you fucking tell?
Which item would you like to speak on?
All of the consent items. Every one of them, yes.
Okay, which one?
Well, I mean, I need to have an agenda. Can you put it on the screen?
Sorry, we can't do that.
I need an agenda. You mean you can read? Yes, I learned how to read.
Mr. Spindler, you're warned. If you can't pick an agenda item, we will disconnect your line.
She's getting mad. Pick an item. I'm trying, asshole. I can't touch the buttons.
He's not on topic. Can you please hang up?
Put it down.
Thank you.
Move to close public comment.
Second. Are there any council members that would like to remove or abstain from an item?
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know we're going to be voting. I'm going to abstain on an item I'll mention after, but I have a question. I've noticed that on some of the improvements we do, that there's always leftover like spray paint on the floor where the contractors mark. And on the one on Paramount, it seems that even though there was rain over the weekend, it didn't come off. And I was understanding all my years here in the council that the water would take it off. But there's a whole lot of spray paint on the floor. So on the street, on the sidewalks, and it's just kind of, and I hate to approve something if it hasn't been, you know.
Well, first of all, most of that it doesn't immediately right after the rain, but it does fade, it does go away. But that said, we'll go out and take a look and make sure that it's removed, so we can do that.
Any other abstentions?
I'll be abstaining from item number 6.
Number 6?
Yes.
And I'll be abstaining from item number 4.
Mayor, I have an announcement in regards to item number 9. There's an amendment to the resolution attached to the staff report. Under section 1 of the resolution, there is language that will be added, which reads, "The department shall ensure that the city clerk's office has responded to any California Public Records request for the subject records which were received before the adoption of this resolution prior to destroying the subject records." The council will be, if the council adopts the resolution, it will be adopted with the amended language.
This will allow you to approve the item number 9, subject to us clearing any public records requests.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second?
City Clerk Duarte, can we please take a roll call vote?
Yes, Councilmember Ashton,
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilmember Saab,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frometa,
Yes.
and Mayor Pacheco.
Yes.
The consent calendar is approved with Councilmember Saab abstaining from item number 6 and Mayor Pacheco abstaining from item number 4, and the language amendment to the resolution for item number 9.
Thank you. City Manager Rivas, do you have any comments?
Just one comment. You did hear an update on COVID, what's been going on. There's been actually a lot of stuff going on in terms of activity, and that's a testament to the staff who's really, switched the way they operate and what they've done. You would think that you wouldn't be as busy, but actually you're busier because you have to do 2-3 steps to do the same thing you did before. Reaching out, getting people engaged, and the numbers that we've been receiving for story time and some of the STEM programming that we've been doing have been through the roofs. They've been really, really good, and actually have garnered even some national attention. So again, to the staff, I appreciate all the work they're doing, and will continue to do through this process. As the months get colder, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, and we're going to update you as we progress. But I think that ultimately, I think you've got good staff folks that are working hard to make sure that the residents are taken care of. So we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. And I'd like to just echo those comments. I'd just like to also thank staff for all the hard work that you've been doing, from our Public Works Director to our Parks and Rec Director, with thinking outside the box and having all these fun activities for families, to our police chief, our fire chief, all the hard work that you've put in. I'd like to thank you all, and also Vanya, for everything that you've done, Ben, with the Space Center and the library. It's been a lot of thinking outside the box and trying to keep the community engaged and informed and safe. So I appreciate all of your hard work. It's been great for the community, and I know the residents really appreciate it. So thank you all.
And Anil.
Oh yes, and Anil. That is important. And Aldo, couldn't see you. We are now going to adjourn our council meeting in memory of Lemuel Bruce, Arson Division, Houston Fire Department, killed in the line of duty. Sergeant Harold Preston, Houston Police Department, killed in the line of duty. Denise Juarez, longtime Downey resident and former president of the Downey Sister Cities, and the lives lost due to COVID-19. A moment of silence. Meeting adjourned.
Where are you going? Huh? See you, dude.